You just really want my attention right now. You need to stop. You're on camera. People are watching your bad behavior. Everywhere you look, it is chick days. Every farm store is trying to sell you baby chicks. I've had chickens for about 9 to 10 years now, and I thought this would be the perfect time to come out to the coop and give you some tips and tricks for raising your chickens or having chickens. Now, I'm on a lot of Facebook groups, and I think that that's a really good place to start. You can also look at justbackyardchickens.com. That is a really great website, and they have a Facebook group too. But I do want to tell you, some people can be really rude. I don't know what it is. People are so obsessed with their chickens, and they have this really stern belief in how they're going to raise their chickens. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know everything. But if you wanted to ask your questions, please ask them in the comments down below, and I will make sure I answer them with as much grace as I possibly can. And if you're going to answer someone else's question in the comments below, please do the same. So I wanted to give you an outdoor perspective of what we did for our chicken coop. Now, we might have gone a little bit more elaborate than some of you may be able to do, and that's okay. So if you're gonna buy a prefab type chicken coop, or you're gonna build something or do something on a smaller scale, that's totally understandable. You might wanna do something on a larger scale. We just built the best one that we possibly could so we wouldn't have to redo things later on. I'm gonna take you inside and I'm gonna show you what we did with this Amish shed that we bought and then kind of converted part of it into the chicken coop and then built a run. While we're out here though, I do wanna point out right up here are vents. So we have air vents on the front and the back, and that will help give a good airflow and keep the air fresh inside for your chickens. So make sure you're always putting in air vents, or that your chicken coop is going to come with them, and you want them up as high as possible. So if there is any dew or anything from the morning or any heavy winds, it's gonna stay off of their bodies. Okay, without further ado, let's head inside. This is the inside of the coop, and we built probably about a third of the inside of the shed into the coop area. My husband only took the wall up so far, so there is storage up above, but that also helps with heat because it's a smaller area. And he did all of the nesting boxes on this side here. We do have flip up doors that would come up, and there are 3 boxes down there, but I go inside to get their eggs, so I really never open that. We have 3 more spots, so if we wanted 6 all together, we could use those. And right now we just put tubs in there, and that's what keeps all of our extra chicken supplies, and the rest of the shed is all of my gardening supplies. So it's a nice combo between gardening and chickens, and so it gives us a lot of extra storage space. Let me take you inside and we'll see what their living conditions are really like. Everything is still extremely dirty in here from the winter time because we haven't gotten to our deep clean yet, but this is where the other side of that wall is for the nesting boxes. They have a roosting pole down here to be able to get into the nesting boxes. And as you can see, and there's an egg in here, I will gently take that out. These are just your standard dishwash tubs, and we just cut a front off of them and we fill them with a light pine, and that's what they use. And then you can pull these out and wash them whenever you need to. While I can, I want to point out that we have, I think, 16 chickens right now, and chicken math, if you know anything about chicken math, it's hard to keep up with how many you have at one given point and how many you're adding and taking away as they get sick. So with these 3 boxes, there's always a favorite. There's always one box that they all want to lay in. There's 2 eggs in this one right now, nothing down here, and then this one is filling up. So do know, as a new chicken owner, if you're trying to figure out how many nesting boxes, it doesn't matter. If you put in 2 or 3 to give them options, that's great, but just know they will literally sit on top of each other to have eggs. It's just what they do. I don't know, they're chickens. They like to sometimes sit on each other, lay eggs with each other. If you get eggs that have yolk on them and they have broken and you're wondering if maybe you have a chicken that's eating eggs, it is also possible that when they lay an egg, one egg will actually fall out and land on another egg. So these eggs touch, they crack, and you're breaking this one, and then they eat it. So just because you have yolk-covered shells doesn't always necessarily mean that you have an egg eater. Now, if you do have an egg eater, one thing that you can do is buy eggs that are made out of wood, and they actually look like real eggs, and we do have some of those here in our stock of our chicken supplies. And I just take a little magic marker and put a mark on them so I can tell because they look real. And then they're going to be hitting that wooden egg, trying to crack it open, and they can't, so they eventually give up, and then they don't think they can eat the eggs anymore. So that's a really good way that we have found that stops them from eating their eggs. And now we've got two girls going. So I'm gonna let them do their thing and I'll show you a couple other things in here. I wanna point out on the walls, I actually repurpose a lot of the feed bags. And this way it helps in the wintertime with the frost. It's not gonna stick on the walls. And then in the summertime, actually, when the sun is beating in, it is an insulator and it helps to keep it cool in here. And then on this side, I have a PVC piping that comes down for their feed. And I'll show you that up close. This is the feed trough that we built for them, but quite honestly, they kick out so much feed. Almost all their feed just gets tossed on the ground and it's not all eaten. So that's why we like to really keep it outside in the other tubs. And I will show you those in a minute because this is just annoying how much food we lose. What are you doing? Come here. This is Blue 2. She's my nibbler and my biter, and she has to be around me all the time. So we had a Blue, and now she is Blue 2, like Blue also, Blue T-O-O. You wanna say hi? She's just kind of a little bit of a brat, but she loves to be around me and peck on me. I think she just thinks I'm a constant big thing of feed. I don't know what her issue is, but she's a sweetheart anyway. We love her. Middle of the winter, we like to use these galvanized watering containers, and then we have a heat plate underneath, and that's gonna help if the temperature gets under 32 degrees, that it will stop your water from freezing. But in the summertime, we like them to drink fresh water outside from the tubs, and you'll get to see those here in a second as well. One tip that I want to say that we actually made a big mistake when we first started buying these is a lot of people tell you to put electrolytes or vitamins in your water, and that's really great. You can do that if you're using the 5-gallon plastic tubs. If you put any type of vitamin in these galvanized, they will rust. And that has been a problem with us for a long time. This one's gonna get trashed at the end of the year because it will do that and it will rust. So be careful with that. Know that you can't really put anything else but water in these because they will not last long term. And these things are not cheap. So you want to kind of save your dollars and make them last as long as you possibly can. What? You're back. She's back. See this? Constant. This is the door that we have going from the inside coop to the outside run. Would you stop, ma'am? And this door is left open all the time because of the security precautions that we have taken for any predators to come in and out. We used to open and close it all the time, like morning and night. If I have baby chicks and I'm raising small chicks and I really want them to know this is their home, then this door will be closed at night. I will just come out and close it at night. Now, I also can't use one of those light sensors. Stop it. I can't use one of the solar type doors because of the angle of the roof on this, that it's not going to get the sun that it needs. So it wouldn't really work for me anyway. So if you're going to use those, really make sure you know what kind of sunlight you're going to get. Otherwise, your doors are not going to work. She just really wants my attention right now. You just really want my attention right now. You need to stop. You're on camera. People are watching your bad behavior. They are watching your bad behavior. There's a lot of different discussions about having lights in your coops. I do have the timer up here, so they turn on super early, and I have them go off about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So it really depends on what time of day you want them to go off. In the summertime, we can be still light out at 10 o'clock at night. So about the 9 o'clock time is just what works for me. And this is also known as pushing with light. So if you have light in your coop, artificial light, your chickens are gonna keep laying even through the winter. That's a big, huge discussion with a lot of people. You can argue about that all you want. I don't care. I've done it for years. So they get artificial light, they continue to lay through the winter, but a lot of them will rest anyway. You might still have a slow production. I could get in the summer a dozen eggs a day, but then in the winter, I might only get 5 or 6 eggs a day, sometimes 3 or 4. They're still gonna naturally take a break, but I have the chickens for egg production and, well, just because I like having them and they're like my little pets. So I do kind of treat them like that. But that is going to be a decision that you're going to want to make. Another reason why we do the lights inside the coop is this coop itself would be very, very dark. So if I don't have this plugged in, this is what it's going to look like for them during the day, and they wouldn't lay like that. They wouldn't want to wake up. They would be coming in and they would be sleeping during the day, even though the majority of the time they would probably be outside. So we just don't do that. But over the actual nesting box area, that is a little bit darker. So when they're in there actually laying an egg, they're not blinded. So the lights are only above the roosting bars. You can see how disgusting it is behind me. We actually put cardboard up there as well to stop any of their droppings from getting onto the back wall. This is our big window, and we got this from a Habitat for Humanity. In the wintertime, we can close this, and that's gonna like try and keep some of the heat in for the winter. But in the summer, we can slide this open and they're gonna get a good breeze. Their chicken droppings really will put off a very, very strong fume. If it gets too strong, that is actually bad for them, but they always need fresh air. So make sure you have good ventilation. Something I want to point out about the roosting posts, make sure your roosting posts are at an angle. If you have your roosting posts stacked like a ladder, your dominant chickens will go to the top, but that way when they are dropping in the middle of the night, they're not going to be dropping on top of each other. They won't be making each other messy. So having these angled roosting posts is definitely a must. Also on the floors underneath the pine is a linoleum flooring. So you can see here all this linoleum, and we got it for really inexpensive. It was leftover pieces from like remnants, and this works really well because we don't have to worry about water splashing on the ground, and we can clean this up if we have to. They just spread their pine all over down there, and it works really, really well. So that is a really helpful tip, and we do use pine as the base of our flooring here, and they enjoy using it for everything from their nesting boxes to their flooring. All right, here comes the really honest part that makes me mad with the Facebook groups and why people get so vicious with each other is the protecting of your chickens with chicken wire versus hardwire cloth versus how are we going to stop something from getting in. People saying that they want advice, but then other people are just being rude about it. You have to do what is right for you. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know how big your coop is. I don't know how much property you have if you're in a little neighborhood, and maybe you haven't seen a raccoon in like 20 years. I don't know. So I'm just gonna tell you what my personal experience is and be as kind and nice with my information as I possibly can. This is called hardwire cloth that we have put all over the outside of the coop. It is also buried into the ground. So underneath of the frame of the coop, it goes down into the ground, which you're going to want to do if you use this so no critter is digging into that base of your coop, okay? So the hardwire cloth is then screwed in with all of these bolts and washers so it can't be pulled away. This is a 1/4 inch hardwire cloth. The only way that we could cut it and put it up on the coop was to actually use a circular saw. So anybody who tells you that this stuff can still be ripped apart by another critter, unless your raccoon is walking around the circular saw, I don't know how they're gonna cut this and get inside your coop. I'm also talking about a 9 to 10 year experience of not having one critter ever get inside of my coop. This has been a really, really good fail-safe for me. Now I understand hardwire cloth can be very expensive, so you have to really decide what you want to do with it, how big your run is going to be, and if you're using anything like chicken wire that is meant to keep your chickens in or contained into an area, not to help keep predators out. If you want to use chicken wire for any other like little run areas, that's fine. Just know that they're going to have not as much protection during the day when they're out running around as if they would in their coop. And until just a few days ago, to be honest, we never let them free range, and we just set up a new area, which I'm going to show you at the end of the video when we let them out. But this has been one of the best things for us. And one other thing added to this, I'll show you down here. Now on the ground, we have a 5-foot fencing, and it is what you would use for a dog cage or a dog kennel. So it is what I call dog fencing, but it's just a 5-foot high fence. We actually bolted it to the frame of the coop, and then it comes out and goes straight across the ground. It wraps all the way around the outside of the entire outside run area. I have another video, I'll put a link to that down in the description of this one, that really thoroughly explains that. But there is a tree stump right here, and it is the only area that you can maybe kind of see where the fencing is going up and over this. And this has been great because any predator that does come up and maybe want to get into your chicken coop, they're gonna dig a little hole and they're gonna hit this chain link, and they'll hit another one, and they'll hit another one, and they'll eventually give up. So they would literally have to dig 5 feet out all the way down and under to get to the coop. So that has been a major positive. So no matter what size coop you have, how big it is, what you're doing to protect them as far as hardwire cloth or other sides to your coops, the fencing on the ground has been a major plus. And this summer we are going to be adding it all the way around the shed as well. So now we're finally going to go to the inside, and I'll show you some tips and tricks and how I have it set up in there. So we're first going to talk about the base of the inside of my run. It's a lot from our woods, and we rotate this. We will dig it out. It gets really hard and clumpy in the winter time, and so when we come in the spring to do our big cleaning, which we'll probably do here in the next week or so, we can scoop this out and we can put it into our gardens or throw it into our compost. They can dust bathe in it. When you have brand new baby chicks and they're in your box and you just got them home from the farm store and they are rolling around in their pine, just know this is their natural thing that they do. We also take diatomaceous earth, or DE, and we will sprinkle that into the dirt as much as we really think about it. We should be doing it more often, probably once a month or so, and mixing that in. Then they're going to be dust bathing in that, and that helps kill off any mites or any little bugs that might get up underneath of their feathers. Now you can see this feeder behind me has the little holes in it, so they can just stick their head in there and eat the food out of it. This is much different than what is inside, where they can scratch and dump all of that out. Somebody is eating my sweater. So they can just put their head in there and scoop out a little bit of it, and then it's not gonna be all over the ground. And by doing a 5-gallon bucket, we can just fill this up actually once a week, which is really nice. I don't have to worry about their food every single day. This is my watering container that we use. So we have a local store by us called Family Farm and Home, and we like to buy their 5-gallon buckets because they're dark green. So this is gonna stop any light from getting in there. And then we use the little nipple systems on the bottom. Now we've tried some of the other little watering cups, and it seems like they don't stay filled up, or they really have to work at it to get the water to come out those little cups. So I really like this, that they can just come up and hit this whenever they want. Obviously they like it because they're using it right now, So this is one of their favorite things to use. I'm just getting attacked from all angles. In the hot summer, we'll actually hang 2 of these, so then they have 10 gallons of water, and that will last us a week as well. What do you want? Do you want to come say hi? No. Okay, this will give you a good view of what the coop actually looks like and the height of it. We did a big angled roof. Any rain or snow tends to go off of the back. There is a nice overhang off of the back that gives them shade. It is like kind of sunny out right now, but you can see I am nice and shaded, so they have spots of sun, spots of shade. This is the coop the other direction, and we have roosting posts outside here, plus we have something that we built that we call the jungle gym, and that's for them to climb on. And then I've got an old tree log back here, so this really gives them a higher place that they can go, so they can run around down to the ground, or they can go up into all of these different areas and play, or just take a nap and get away. I'm gonna move this fence out of the way. So we just have it hooked up onto a big shepherd's hook for right now. And this side is really loose, and that's okay. They're not gonna go anywhere. Release the chickens. Come on out. I love this new fencing because we can just let them run around even out into the wooded areas, and they like it so much. This is something that we have just added to keep them contained within the woods. Remember that chickens are adorable when they're at the stores. Every farm store you go into right now is Chick Days, and they're these cute little bundles of joy. When you bring them home and you put them in a box and a little heat lamp, they're gonna be dusty, they're gonna throw pine everywhere, you're gonna lose a ton of feed. It is a lot to raise them. Then they turn into little teenagers and they're half feathered, and you're wondering if you should take them outside to your coop or not. So just because this tiny little baby is 99 cents at your local farm store, really think about in the long haul what you're gonna be doing with your chickens. Whether you're going to be buying just a pre-manufactured chicken coop and run, how safe are they gonna be? How much area do you have? And there's a lot of areas, neighborhoods, inner cities that don't allow roosters. So if you accidentally get a rooster, you might have to rehome them. Maybe there's some areas that don't allow chickens at all, so check with neighbors, check with your county, your township, your city, and find out what the rules and regulations are before you start buying baby chicks. I will tell you from our personal experience, our first year, I got super excited. We had already started building all of this, but I still went out and got the baby chicks anyway. They sat inside the house in boxes, and we weren't done with the project outside yet, and I ended up with almost full-grown chickens in my basement. Box after box after box, making their little home bigger. And by the time we moved them out, it was like literally 3 days later, and they were laying eggs. So I had them inside the house way too long. Now, with me being in the woods, this fencing that I have up is extremely temporary, and it is, oops, oh, that was you. Now, this fencing that I have up behind me is just something that we can move around. It's attached to some of our property stakes, and it is a 4 foot high by 100 foot long. And this will give us some areas that we can kind of move them around in. But I sit out here and I supervise. I still don't let them totally free range on their own unless I'm chicken sitting. And that's because of where I live, because I do have predators, because we do have chicken hawks that fly up above, that there's not much you can do with them in that situation. So I'm gonna be a little bit more protective. So know your area, know what kind of predator pressure you have. I highly recommend getting on Facebook and finding those other chicken groups that are for backyard chickens. So I'm in Michigan, and I am on the Michigan Backyard Chickens. If there are other states that have groups, or just backyard chicken groups that are just generic, just remember, people can be pretty opinionated and sometimes a little cruel, but it's okay. If it's your first time being a chicken owner, you have a right to ask questions. So if you have a question and you want a really honest, nice, sweet answer back to your question, go ahead and add the comment down below. And while you're doing that, hit that subscribe button. Us small YouTube channels really need your support, and it's absolutely free. I will try and do more of these videos over the summer as different things change. Here's a picture of my chicken coop last summer. I love to decorate around it and grow plants around it, and it is just a peaceful place for me to spend and have some time with my girls. If you want to learn anything more about homesteading, indoor gardening, outdoor gardening, chickens, you name it, stick around and we will see you on the next episode. And getting on some Facebook groups that have to do with backyard chickens, backyard chickens. Really crazy. It's shaking my camera. I have to wait for the wind. Somebody's poking at me.